since in sports massage you're usually dressed, right? So what frog leg is gonna look like with draping.
Sorry, so
So I've got my really nice, high, secure leg drape, and then I'm gonna bring M into frog leg. In general, I find it useful to bring my client's arm out of the way so that they don't jab their knee up into it. Just like in sports massage, I'll bring the lower leg up into a 90 degree ankle. He's got a big bruise here.
I know. I was trying to get something off of a high shelf last night.
Ooh.
And then I stepped off and landed on somebody's shirt.
Ouch. Okay, that's impressive. Okay, so I'm gonna use my inside hand to support her leg and bring her into frog leg. I'm gonna use my outside hand to stabilize the sheet, because as I bring her, I'm gonna leave a gap at the inner thigh. So I'm gonna take the top portion of my sheet, make sure I've got enough purchase on it so that when I go to bring her into frog leg, I bring the drape with me, yeah?
mm-hmm.
Pretty simple. And then if I want to do my Swedish work, bring my like skin on skin Swedish work up into the glutes, I'm just gonna be mindful that my sling stays where it is, and I can open up the drape a little bit more and bring my strokes up into the glutes and even the lower back. Otherwise, I can do a lot of work that you learned this weekend in sports massage through the sheet, compressive work. Did you all do any, Job, hi! Did you all do any active release or pin and stretch in frog leg?
A little,
so,
yeah.
Like having move her knee. Move her
Yeah.
leg?
Oh, yeah. We
Okay,
did that.
Awesome. I'll show that once again. If I'm starting with some glute compressions to warm this up and get a sense for her sensitivity in this area, before I have her do some potentially really intense movement with pressure on it. Start by pinning piriformis and the rotators around piriformis, and then how can I have her engage that muscle from this position?
Oh. Bringing the leg out.
Yeah, so by externally and internally rotating the leg, I can have her do that. Really slowly, can you keep your knee where it's at and lift the ankle? Ooh, that's okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then put that down and keep the ankle where it's at and lift the knee. Ooh, and then back down. Those both feel comfortable and safe?
Yep.
Okay, can you do that 2 more times in both directions? Lift that ankle.
Like how high you want to go?
Nice. You can go as high as you can, yeah. Whoa. And then bring that back down. Lift the knee. Good. Back down. And one more time. Ankle. Sheesh. Down. And knee. And back down. And relax. Nice. Nice way to floss out these muscles and engage your client's experience of this work. Something I see a lot while people are bringing their client into frog leg is that they don't bring the leg high enough, and they'll kind of put them in this half frog leg position, which can often be a lot less comfortable than a nice square frog leg up here. Would you agree with that, Em?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so being really clear and bringing the leg all the way up so that it's pretty much, the thigh is about 90 degrees out from the hip in this position. If their leg is hanging out up in the air, you can bring the bolster down here so that it's supported. If it looks like it's gonna be slipping off a lot, yeah, thanks, Em. I will keep my hip here as a barrier so that her leg doesn't slip off while I'm working. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Frog leg. Great warm up for some pin and stretch that may also look familiar from sports massage. To bring her out of frog leg, I'm just going to reverse how I went in. I'm going to use my outside hand to lift her lower leg, bring my inside hand under the knee. So my inside hand is on the top of her knee now, above her knee, on the inferior quadriceps. I'm gonna stabilize the sheet once again with my outside hand, and then with her upper thigh, bring her leg back. What I mean by that is I'm not taking her lower leg and dragging her out of frog leg into this re-extended position. When I'm moving her from her thigh into frog leg from the thigh and out of frog leg from the thigh. Otherwise, I'm not supporting the knee and I'm moving the lower leg in and out of flexion as well as the hip. Does that make sense? Okay. That's our frog leg position. A really helpful tool for working on the glutes, the lower back, is this pin and stretch and the rotators. This look familiar from sports massage? Great. Great. This is also really useful because you can throw this into your massage without doing a full leg drape and without doing like a full back of leg sequence. If I just want to work on the glutes, I can keep my client generally draped and just uncover her lower leg so that I can get the ankle, bend at the knee. Once again, before I do this, I would start with some glute compressions to warm up the area and get a sense of her sensitivity, give her an idea of what it's gonna feel like to work in the glutes here. And then I'll start around the piriformis with my fist or with my elbow. I can kind of walk that up the sacrum as well, the edges of the sacrum, to work along the rotators and the go-go cues. And then once I have a good juicy spot, how is my pressure here, Em? It's not too deep or too light? Okay. Once I've found the right pressure, I've found a good spot for my fist or my elbow to hang out, I'm gonna maintain that pressure. So I'm not gonna be moving her through range of motion and moving my fist around. I'm gonna pin my fist in place. Once I've got it where I want it positionally and depth-wise, I'm gonna bring her ankle back up into 90 degrees. So not down here, nice and solid 90 degrees. And I'm gonna bring her into lateral rotation per her tolerance. That might look like this, you know, and medial rotation. Really slowly back and forth. And you'll get clients with different levels of guarding too. Some people might have a hard time letting you take them through this range of motion passively. So you can incorporate a little wiggle, or if it feels like they really want to participate, what can I invite here?
Have them.
Yeah, I can have her do that. So Em, I'm taking you this way and this way. I'm gonna let go. Can you really slowly do that movement on your own? Bring your ankle all the way to your left and then all the way toward me. Nice and slow. That feels okay? Great, let's do that 2 more times in both directions. Easy for me, chilling. And another way to up the intensity for my client, if they are really seeking more sensation from these movements, if she was like really sore and this was really spicy, I probably wouldn't have her do this. And you can let that go. Thanks, Em. I can also do that movement with my elbow pinning the ischial tuberosity. The ischial tuberosity is the attachment site for the hamstrings, which are not hip rotators. But as I take her through this rotational movement, the attachment of the hamstrings are going to get some nice cross fiber engagement from my elbow here. That feels all right? So just some nice ways of engaging the glutes and the big leg muscles without undraping the leg, and in a really like structure specific treatment oriented way. ooh, I can do pin and stretch in gluteus medius and do my casino slot machine leg back and forth movement. Just so excited for you all to get into more neuromuscular work next quarter. I've got two more ways of addressing the glutes, and then we'll look at the arms. So I'm gonna undrape M's back. This would be a continuation from my back sequence or back work. Okay, so in our back sequence right now, we know how to bring our petrissage into the glutes, yeah? I know that in my massage, as I'm down at the lower back and the hips, I have the option of stabilizing the drape with one hand and then pulling the drape back to expose more of the lateral glutes and bring my petrissage into here. We're not doing a whole lot of warm up here, Anne, so please let me know if I need to slow it down, okay?
Okay.
So I know how to warm up the glutes. This right here is super useful. If you've got someone who's requesting specific work in the glutes or the lower back, this is something you can spend a lot of time with. Just some like really quality petrissage time in the area that they're requesting focus in. And then a way that I can make this a little more specific and incorporate some friction work into the glutes here. I need to make sure that I feel really good about my sheet, my drape here, because I'm going to take my hands off of it and use both hands for this work. So this needs to be stable. I need to make sure that I'm not moving this around while I'm working here. So the first technique I'll show is glute ringing. Raise your hand if this is familiar from sports massage. Okay, cool. Glute ringing, I am going to, here's my ringing stroke. For glute ringing, I'm gonna bring that into my forearm and my elbow, inferior to the ilium where the glutes attach. And then drag up with one hand and down with the other hand. Pretty nice, specific cross fiber friction work in the glutes. What do you think, Em? How's that feel?
That's good.
So really what I'm doing in this ringing here is sort of stabilizing the tissue with the hand that's pulling toward me and then applying friction through the glutes with my elbow. And then switching. Making sure that I'm not dragging the sheet with me. Pretty clear?
Is your arm ever kind of coming up against the iliac crest? Or are you always inferior to it?
I'm just inferior to it. So I'm not right on top of the bone. I'm focusing on the attachments of the glutes here. So just inferior to the iliac crest. And then our next technique is also going to focus on the attachments of the glutes. The superior attachments of the glutes. For the inferior attachments, we've got our pin and stretch work. For the superior attachments, we've got our glute ringing, and we've got the iliac trace. This is tricky if your client has underwear on. I would usually skip this because we are gliding through the tissue over the skin here. So I'm going to use a really firm, like braced finger cupped hand. I'm reaching toward the ASIS on the side of the body. I'm sinking my fingers in. I'm using my top hand to press my fingers into the tissue. And then I'm dragging the tissue up toward the ceiling, tracing the iliac crest. Up toward the ceiling, not back toward me. I'm not trying to pull her. I'm trying to scoop the tissue up toward the ceiling. All the way to the sacrum. Once I've introduced this movement to my client, if this feels appropriate and comfortable and they're responding well, I can reach a little farther all the way for ASIS. Moving the tissue out of the way. My fingers are pointing toward her feet. I'm sliding my hand here. Now I'm just below ASIS at the musculotendinous junction of rectus femoris. That feels comfortable, Em?
Yeah.
So I'm tracing the path of the ilium up toward her head and then up toward the ceiling. And down toward the SI joint, the sacroiliac joint. I'll do one more variation of the iliac trace. This time I'm going to be superior to the ASIS. So the first pass, I'm inferior to the ASIS, dragging through the superior attachments of the glutes. This time, I'm going to scoop up ASIS in my fingers. And I'm dragging superior to the iliac crest. So I'm coming through the attachments of hip flexors, psoas major and iliacus. And this is some light access to the abdomen in prone. So if I'm working with a new client, this is a discussion I'd want to have. I want my client to know that if I'm working in the abdomen, why are we doing this? Why is this relevant to her lower back pain, hip pain, leg pain? I don't want to just spring this on a new client.
What's like a simple way to explain that to someone?
Yeah. Well, your abdomen is the front of your back, and every time the muscles in your lower back do something, the muscles on the other side of that respond. So if you're experiencing a lot of tension or discomfort in the muscles here in your lower back, it would make sense that the muscles on the opposite side of that, on the front of your hip and in your belly, are also problematic and worth addressing. Which is another, you can also translate that to working in somebody's pecs for their upper back pain or shoulder pain. And you can spend a long time here just tracing attachments. And then I'll retuck my sheet once I'm ready to move on. And can you do me a favor and put your arms along your sides again? Thank you. So thus far, we've been working with our clients with their arms at their sides. I don't know if I showed you last week that